Chapter 8. That bitch wasn't killing Cade. Allison jerked, twisted like a snake, and drove her claws, not nearly as fierce as Cade's, into the blonde vampire's stomach. He barely grunted. His eyes, too blue and bright, glittered down at her. Don't worry, we'll keep you safe. Screw that. Like she believed a word he said. Gritting her teeth, she pulled back her fist and slammed it right into his chest. She heard something break. Luckily it wasn't her hand. The vamp's eyes widened. Pure blood. He whispered as he fell back a step. That step was all she needed. You aren't killing Cade. She'd promised that. Vampires wouldn't hurt him again, and now he was up there not moving. Dying? No. Cade. She spun away and jumped up half the stairs. But the blonde vampire moved faster than her. He blocked her path in an instant. I'm like you. Born to the blood. I can help you, show you. The witch was next to Cade. Her werewolf was shouting, but his body wasn't moving. Damn it. I don't want you to show me anything. I don't want anything, just Cade. Surprise slackened the vampire's face. He was hurting you, holding you captive. She slammed her body into his. The vampire crashed into the wooden railing. He was keeping me safe. The wood began to splinter. From all the murdering. Vamps who wanted me dead. The wood gave way. The vampire didn't try to fight the fall. He just plummeted to the hard floor. Below. Allison grabbed a chunk of broken wood from the stairs. She rushed up toward Cade and the witch. Get your ass away from him. Elsa turned around, her eyes were wide, and oh yeah, Allison saw the fear flash in her gaze. You want to take me out so badly? Allison snarled. Then. Here's your chance. But Elsa backed away. She dropped a mirror, and the heavy chunks of glass shattered at her feet. Better save him, Elsa told her as she edged back. With that silver lodged in his spine, he could be dead in seconds. Allison froze, the wood gripped tightly in her hand. Elsa was still backing away. Going for another weapon? Preparing for another spell attack. Unless he doesn't really matter to you, Elsa threw out, taunting her. Unless you want to watch him die. Cade was trying to crawl toward the witch. His legs weren't working because of the silver in his spine. She wouldn't leave her wolf helpless. Never. Allison rushed to his side. The wood dropped from her hands as she reached for his back. I thought so. The witch's nearly purring voice said. I knew your weakness. A rush of wind filled that second-story room. Allison caught the sharp edge of the silver and ignored the pain when it sliced her flesh. It's okay, she whispered to Cade. I've got you. You're going to be. The wind rushed harder, beating on her like hands, and a wooden stake burst through her chest. Allison didn't let go of that broken knife. She glanced down and saw the bloody edges of the wood, the same wood she'd brought up to use as her weapon. That rushing wind, it had been Elsa, using one of her spells. She'd moved faster than Allison could see. The witch had come up behind her and got your heart, bitch, Elsa told her. Allison yanked out the silver blade. She heard Cade's fast inhale. He'll be okay now. No, she managed to tell the witch, even as every breath sent pain pulsing through her chest. You didn't. The makeshift stake had gone from her back all the way through the front of her chest, but the witch had shitty aim. She'd missed Allison's heart. Allison rose to her feet, swayed, but managed to stay upright. Elsa scrambled back. No. A stained glass window waited behind her, one designed to show the beauty of a blooming red rose. But with the moonlight spilling through that glass, it appeared as if the witch were surrounded by blood. She would be soon enough. Allison stalked slowly toward her. Every move hurt, but she wasn't giving up, wasn't stopping. Her hands, already bloody, caught the edge of that stake. Slowly, inch by inch, she pulled it out. Then she held her weapon gripped tightly in her fist. Why? Allison asked, because she had to know. Why did you come after me? Her fangs were fully extended, and she wanted to tear Elsa's throat wide open. I've become the monster, and I don't give a damn. Not then. Then she wanted the strength that being a vampire gave her. I never would have. You were going to kill me, Elsa screamed, backing away even more. Her elbows bumped into the big stained glass window. I saw it. Allison shook her head. That small move had the room spinning. Blood-soaked. Her clothes. I tried to change it. Elsa glanced around the room with bright, almost feverish eyes. I have to change it. Then she glanced over her shoulder. Back through the stained glass, and the witch started to laugh. The moon's not full. It's not time yet. You can't kill me. Watch me. Full moon or no full moon, Elsa was dying. Allison wasn't gonna give the witch another chance to attack. Behind her, Allison heard bones snapping and popping. Cade, shifting, healing. Her breath eased out slowly. He'll be all right. Elsa wouldn't be. I am going to kill you, Allison told her quietly, hands fisting. You won't get out of this house alive tonight. She wouldn't give Elsa a chance to come at her again or to come at Cade. I had to save myself. Elsa's face flushed bright red as they faced off. The mirror, I saw what you'd do. I saw. Screw the mirror. You made this happen. You started it all. But I'll end it. Then, using every bit of strength that she had left, which wasn't a hell of a lot, Allison jumped forward, diving right for Elsa. She shoved the stake at Elsa's chest. My turn. The stake sank into Elsa's flesh. Then Allison grabbed the witch and she shoved her back into that stained glass window as hard as she could. The glass shattered, raining down to the ground, and as Elsa fell, Allison yanked her hands back. But the witch didn't let her go. Elsa's hands had clamped around her, and Allison was too weak then to break free. She'd used her last bit of strength in the attack, and Elsa pulled her through that broken glass. The shards sliced into Allison's skin. They fell, glass covering them, surrounding them, and the wind whipped past Allison's body. Then they hit the ground. When Allison went through that window, Cade leapt after her. He just shifted back to human form, and he rushed for the window as quickly as he could, bellowing her name. Not fast enough. So when the witch pulled her through, Cade followed them right down to the ground below. Their bodies hit the earth with a sickening thud, and he leapt down just behind them, his knees barely buckling when he landed on his feet. Glass littered the ground. Blood stained the earth. Allison. She was face down, half on top of the witch. His heart froze in his chest. He stepped closer. Allison. At his voice, her head rose slightly, and his heart started to race in his chest. He could see the blood on her cheek. The scratches. She pushed up slowly as she stared down at the still form of Elsa. The witch hadn't survived the fall. Maybe it was the stake in her chest that had killed her, or the twisted angle of her neck. Either way, Elsa wouldn't be hurting them or anyone else ever again. He reached for Allison and lifted her gently into his arms. He noticed that. Hell yes, damn it, his hands were shaking. Fear. Don't ever fucking do that to me again. He'd seen the stake go into her chest. Had thought for one lost, desperate moment that she'd been dying. Won't lose her. He pulled her closer, held her tight. He'd seen what waited in the mirror, what the future held for him, and werewolf. And the fucking vampires were back. Could no one just leave them the hell alone? Snarling, Cade pushed Allison behind him. He'd deal with these jackasses and then get her someplace safe, warm. Then he'd make love to her all night long, until he forgot what it was like to fear that death could steal her from him while he was helpless to do anything but just watch her die. One leap forward and Cade had his claws at the big blonde vampire's throat. Cade knew the lead asshole when he saw him. Ready to lose that head? One swipe, just one, and he'd be rid of the bastard. I'm not here. The vampire didn't seem particularly afraid. Obviously a dumbass. To hurt her, or you. Bullshit. Elsa said. The vampire swallowed and Cade sliced his throat, a small warning slice. More would come. She said you were the threat, that you were sent to kill Allison. Plans had fucking changed. Everything had changed for him from that first moment in the alley, when he'd looked into bright blue eyes and realized that he still had part of his soul left. A soul and a heart. He should have killed her, but Cade had only come alive when he met her. Allison slid her small hand over his shoulder. Cade forced himself to take a breath. The urge to strike was so strong that he trembled, but the vampire wasn't making any move to attack. You got your intel wrong, Cade snapped. Okay, fuck, he had been hired to kill Allison, but that plan had changed day one. He'd become the man who'd stand between her and any threat that might be out there. Kill her? Hell no. He wouldn't even so much as bruise her skin. Right then, all he wanted to do was take her away. Give her his blood, let her heal. Then make love to her until he stopped being afraid that she'd slip away from him. Death, you can't have her. So fuck off. No one takes her from me, he said, the words a vow. He hadn't found her just to lose her. Wouldn't happen. If he had to behead this vamp to prove it, he was ready to slice. I mean her no harm. Blood dripped down the vampire's throat. I thought that. Night in the alley, I thought you were the threat. He wasn't, Allison said as her fingers pressed against Cade's shoulder. Her voice was weak. She needs blood. His blood. But as much as he wanted to turn and scoop her into his arms, he didn't move. Not yet. Cade kept his hold on his prey. The only good vamp. I have no quarrel with you, werewolf, the vampire told him. The guys. Cronies had come outside, but they stood just in front of the house wisely, deciding not to interrupt right then. Smart. They might keep their heads. I know who you are, the guy went on, and I know what you did to that nest in Oregon, who made the mistake of fucking with your pack. The rage built within Cade. If you hadn't killed them, he added, then my team would have. We don't tolerate rogue groups, and we're sure as hell don't make a habit of torturing children. The guy looked sincere. But vampires could lie as easily as witches, werewolves, humans. All were good, bad. None were perfect. Allison stroked Cade's shoulder. You might know us, but who the hell are you? She wanted to know. Cade risked a glance her way. Bruised, bloody, so beautiful. The dumbass. Vampire probably thought so too. Charles Crawford. I'm on the Northwestern Vampire Council. Big deal. Vamps and their councils. He knew all about them. The councils were supposed to keep the vamps in check, stop them from killing humans, keep them on a leash. From what he'd seen, those fancy councils did jack and shit. Crawford glanced at Allison. I was sent to protect you. Then you arrived a bit late to the party, buddy, Cade drawled. Very late. Crawford's jaw clenched. After a moment he said, I vow that I won't hurt her, the vampire said. Or you. He'd like to see the fool try. Truce? The vampire asked. Oh, that grated Anne. Allison swayed beside him. Cade lunged for her and caught Allison just before she would have fallen. Her skin was ice cold. Her eyes were closing. No, sweetheart, don't you even think of leaving me. He held her gently, like the fucking precious thing that she was. He cradled her head and pushed her toward his throat. Drink, Allison. Take everything you need. 'Cause he wasn't letting her go.